Hello, and welcome to the July Building Your Tech Toolkit webinar. Today's presentation is going to be all about Google+. My name is John Shrives, and I'm part of the Learning Services team here at Royal LePage Canada. And we're going to be spending about 45 minutes to an hour today talking about Google+ and different ways that you can use it. So with that, let me switch over into my presentation. We can get started with the session. So in terms of the goals for today, I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can not only segment your database, so by that I mean dividing up your contacts into different groups, but I also want to talk to you about how you can organize your content as well. And Google Plus offers two services to help you with that called Circles and Collections. And we'll get into how you can really use those to their full extent. I want to show you how you can organize and promote your events on Google+. And then I also want to talk to you about how you can use communities to potentially build referral networks or share best practices, or to create a local place for sharing information with the neighborhood. So with that, let's talk about what Google+ actually is. Remember, if you're watching today's webinar live, I do encourage questions. I'd love for this to be as interactive as possible. So if you're in Hangouts, you'll notice that towards the top right-hand portion of the screen, you'll see that little Q&A icon, or you may see a grid, and when you click on that grid, that Q&A icon will appear. So just click on that icon, and then a chat bar will open in the right-hand side of the screen, and you'll be able to ask us your questions that way. You're also able to get in touch with us at any point after today's webinar, and contact us at learningservices@royallepage.ca. So why Google+? There's been a lot of debate over the viability of Google+, and is it relevant? Is it going to die? And so some people are major supporters of it. Some people say, oh, it's useless, it's dead, it's going away. What I want to focus on today is not so much the posting to Google+ and using it actively the way that you would another social media network. What I'm hoping to talk about today is how Google+ is so much more than a social media network, and it offers some different functionality that is unlike a lot of the other social media that's out there. So I'll be talking a little bit about how you can post if that is something you decide to do, and if you want to use Google+ as a way to try and reach your target audience. But really my focus today is talking about why Google+ is relevant. And there's really three main reasons why I think that Google+ is important. The first one is that it's Google's social layer. So you can think of it as kind of a main hub that links all of the other Google apps together into one place. It's kind of like a central point for managing your Google account. So as an example of that, you can see on the screen all the other different apps that connect back to Google+. So for example, there's Google's Photo Manager, Hangouts, which you can use for chats, video calls, conference calls. There's Gmail, Calendar, and of course YouTube, which is a Google product. So just to give you an example of how what you do in Google+ ties back to these other services, if you, for example, connect with somebody on Google+, that person will automatically be added as one of your contacts within Gmail. And in addition, if they've put in their birthday into their Google+ account, that would automatically be inputted into your calendar. So there's a lot of little things like that again, Google+ is kind of bringing all of the different apps together into one place. Second advantage of Google+ are its benefits in terms of search engine optimization. And I'll show you a few things in particular that can help with that. But the big thing is that by filling out your profile within the Google Plus account. It's just another way for people to find your information. As well, if you are posting regularly on Google Plus, that information is going to be indexed because, of course, Google wants to reward people who are using its products. So whereas posts on Facebook or Twitter are kind of confined to those networks, things that are in Google Plus have the potential to be shared more broadly, and be found even among people who aren't necessarily searching on Google Plus itself. They might just be doing a regular Google search. And the third benefit is the ability to organize contacts and information. And I alluded to this earlier in terms of the circles and the collections function. But I find that it's quite a useful feature to segment both people and content. So with that, let me actually get into my Google Plus account and start talking a bit about what is available in there. Okay, give me one moment here. Pull up. Okay, so here I am in my Google Plus account. Just as a reminder, there's a few different ways for getting into your Google Plus account. One of them is that you can connect in through the RLP network. So on the right-hand side of the screen, when you log into the RLP network, you'll see the links for all of the different Google tools, one of which is Google Plus. Also, from any of the other Google apps, so say, for example, if you're in Gmail, you'll always see this grid up in the top right-hand corner. And when you click on it, it will allow you to access any of the other Google apps. The third way would be to simply open up a new internet window and type in plus.google.com. And so here I am on the main page of my Google account. And you can see what is called my stream of information. It's similar to a lot of other social media networks where it lines up all of the information that you've got in your account in chronological order. What you can do is if I go to more, some people find this layout with the two columns stream a little bit overwhelming. So I could just move to the single column format, and it makes it perhaps a little bit easier to absorb some of the information that I can see on my screen. Just giving a minute here for that change to take effect. Another thing that you can do in terms of customizing what comes into your stream here is you can control who you want to hear from. So for example, if I go to more, I can choose any one of these circles that I've created. And I'll talk a little bit more about how you go about creating these circles. But for now, say here's my circle of other Royal LePage agents. I can click on this gear icon once I've gone into that circle. And I can decide, do I want these posts to show in my stream? And do I want more of them? Do I want less of them? Or should I just leave it at the standard amount? So again, you've got a bit of flexibility in terms of what kind of posts you're seeing. What I want to do first is go into the profile and go about actually updating the profile. So the first thing that I would recommend doing is going here to add a new photo. As you can see, I've already got my photo there. Second step would then be to add a cover photo. So right now I have one of the default images, but I'd like to upload something a little bit different. And what you can actually do is the marketing team here at Royal LePage Canada has created a lot of fantastic social media covers for all sorts of holidays and events from throughout the year. So let me go on a little bit of a sidetrack here just to show you where you can find those covers. I'm going to go into the RLP network. And it's going to be under the Marketing tab, Marketing Resources. And in the Design and Image Library, there's this full supply of different social media covers. When you download these, it's downloading a zip file, so there's options that have been tailored to the proper dimensions for Facebook as well as Google+. So as you can see, some of them are generic, but then some of them are focused on different events. And again, there's ones for holidays throughout the year. So a lot of great content here. It's a little bit of a tangent, but it's a resource that often gets overlooked. So for me, let me upload one of these that I've previously downloaded to my computer. So I'm going to upload. I'm going to select from my computer. It's my desktop, and it's my RLP. Here we go. So I believe this is the Finding Your Perfect Home. And as you can see, the dimensions are exactly perfect for Google+. And so I'll make that my cover photo. There we go. Now let me actually start going about updating the information in my account. And to do that, I'm going to click on the About tab. And I'm going to first do People. So here is where it's going to display in my profile. It'll display the people that I'm connected to and people who have connected to me. So this in your circles, those are people that I've chosen to follow or that I've chosen to connect to. And do I want them to show up in my stream? This really depends. You can eliminate certain circles. So say, for example, if I didn't necessarily want my clients to see what other clients I was working with, I might uncheck these seller clients here, just so that other people wouldn't know that I'm necessarily working with those individuals. But that's really a question of kind of personal preference for you. Moving along to the next section is communities, which this is something I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but you have the option of whether or not you want these communities shown in your profile. For the most part, I think it'd be a good idea to actually have these communities displayed. So for example, if you were part of a community that was all about local information or all about expertise in real estate, it helps to show that you're someone who's very engaged. If you are involved in these communities, I don't see the harm in showing them. Same thing with the collections. You have the ability to show whether what collections you're involved with. Story. You can think of this as more of an About Me section, where you have the ability to write some messages about yourself. This is one of the places that I strongly encourage you to fill out, because especially this introduction here, is what can help with the SEO. So any keywords in here can be flagged for Google to index into its search engine. Work. So you can put in, of course, that you're currently with Royal LePage and any other past jobs that you've had. The reason that entering work would be relevant in the system is that it will then begin suggesting people to you who you may know. So if you worked at X company, it will recommend other people who have indicated that they've worked at that company in the past. And so it's easier to find people to connect with. Same goes for the education section. So if I put in here that I went to McGill and graduated, put in a bit about my course, but now that I've put in that I studied at McGill, it's going to start suggesting other McGill alumni that I would potentially be interested in reconnecting with. Places is where you can indicate where you currently live. I'll put in Toronto, current location. Basic information, just kind of some demographic information. And again, you'll notice that for a lot of this information, you can decide who you want to be able to see it. So public would mean that everybody can see it. Royal LePage would be only people who have the @royallepage.ca email address would be able to see it. You could select it so that only people within your circles, or you could have it even kind of completely private so that only you are able to see that information. Keep going. You can add some contact phone numbers. Links. So this is another one that, again, it's relevant for SEO, that's search engine optimization. I would especially recommend that you put in a link to your website here, because again, the goal with social media is that you're always trying to drive traffic back to your website. But of course, you could put links to other social media profiles as well, perhaps any blogs or other information sources that you are a contributor to. The last tab here is just for apps that you've connected to your Google Plus account, but I won't bother getting into that today. It's a little more advanced than we need to be. So now that my profile is up to date, one of the things that I find really cool about Google Plus is that you have the ability to view your profile as if you were just a random person stumbling across it. So right now in the top left-hand side, you'll see that I'm currently set to view my profile as myself, but I could change it and see what does my profile look like for the public. And you'll notice it'll be a little bit different. And so you'll see things changed a little bit. So certain fields that I hadn't filled out, rather than showing up here and just appearing blank, they actually disappear completely. So it gives it a much cleaner look. And also it gives you the confidence and the comfort of knowing exactly what you're displaying to the public. One of the things I also really like is how, again, that integration with the other Google apps. So for example, if someone were to click on this YouTube tab, they'll automatically see any video that I've uploaded to YouTube in the past. And so if you're perhaps posting videos of your listings, then this is great. You don't have to do any additional work. All of those videos will automatically be pulled through to your Google Plus account as long as your Google Plus account and YouTube account have been synced in advance and that you're using the same login for each one. You'll notice here that I also have the Reviews tab. This is where people could see reviews that I've left for other businesses that I've been to. If you're thinking, maybe that's not especially relevant to me, then what you can do is you can go into the settings of your account. I'm just going to scroll down to the profile section. And this is where you can actually eliminate some of those tabs that are currently being displayed. So if maybe I didn't want to display my reviews, I could uncheck that box and it's going to hide that tab. Same thing if I didn't have any photos or any YouTube videos posted, I might just remove those just so that it's a bit of a cleaner look to my profile. So now that I've got my profile up to date, let's start getting connected with other people. So I'll go to click on the People button. And now, as I was mentioning before, when you've entered in a previous occupation or education, it then mentions other people. So because I said that I went to McGill, it's now telling me about other people who went to McGill that I could potentially add. Could also see who has currently added me by either clicking the Added You button or going to the Have You in their circles. So right now there's only 2 people following me. If there were others who I'm not currently following, then I'd have the ability to select each one individually and follow them back. Or there will be another button that appears that you can select anybody who's following me, just automatically follow them all back. One of the things that I really like about Google Plus is the ability to divide people up into circles. And the reason that that's relevant is it's a convenient way of organizing your contacts. And it's especially valuable when you're then sending content out to people, because that way you can decide specifically which audiences you'd like to share this information with. So here currently are all the people that I'm connected with. And when I hover over their names, you'll see that the circle below that I've put them in, that it expands, or that it emphasizes that they're currently in that circle. So depending on which one I've put them in. One thing to keep in mind with circles is that people do not know which circle they've been put in. So they'll know that you have added them and that you're following them on Google Plus, but they won't necessarily know which group you have put them in. The other thing is that you have the ability to put people into multiple circles. So for example, Carly here, I could put her into Royal LePage. I could also put her into my friend circle. In order to create a new circle, simply have to just click the plus button here. You come up with a name for it. So I'll say my July 2015 buyer clients. And I could begin, just put down here in the second row. I could just begin dragging people into that circle to start populating it. Let me now actually click on somebody's profile, and we can do a deeper dive, kind of look at what other people's profiles look like. So here I have Mira from our marketing team at Royal LePage Canada. So you can see who she's connected with and who we have in common. Just below that, there's the ability to send Mira a Hangout message. So I could send her a chat message. The other way that I could get in touch with her is, now that Mira and I are connected, her information will automatically be in my Gmail contacts. So if I go and look in my Gmail contacts, I will also see her email address if I wanted to send her a message that way. If I click on the About tab, you can see a bit more about her. And then at the very bottom, I can add my own contact details about Mira. So this is something that nobody else could see, but it's a place for you to make notes about people. So if I just met Mira at a conference, or if I've worked with her in the past and helped her find a home, I can maybe start typing in some information about I helped Mira find a home in June 2014. And maybe other details that will just help me in the future and that I can refer back to if I need to. Just save those. And again, these are comments that are visible only to me. So now that we're connected to other people, we've created a few circles. Let's talk about how you would actually going about posting material to Google+. So I'm going to go back to the Home button. And then right at the top here, there's this Share What's New. This is where I could begin to put in a post. And there's a few options. It could be simply text-based. I could insert photos, links, videos, an event, or even create a poll. With the text, there's no formatting options available or no kind of font changes or size changes. However, there are things that you can do to change some of the formatting. For example, if you wanted something in bold, simply put an asterisk on either side of the content you'd like bolded. So bold, I don't know, open house. And then type the rest of my message. And so when it goes through, open house is actually going to come through as bolded, and those asterisks will disappear. The other thing to keep in mind when you're putting up a post is that you're able to reference other people. So similar to the way that you would on, say, Twitter, you could do @ and then begin typing in the person's email address. So I'll say, I'll take Mira again, for example. So I could kind of send an @ message to Mira so that she would receive a notification that I've mentioned her in a post. And in fact, the other person doesn't even need to have Google Plus in order for you to be able to do this. If I just put in plus and then their email address, so say John Shrives at hotmail.ca, something like that, then even though that person's not currently active on Google Plus, they will still receive an email notification that they were mentioned in your post. And as I was mentioning before, you have the ability to decide who you want to share your content with. So right now it has Mira, just because I've mentioned her in the post, so it has to go to her. Because it had this little icon here, it was currently being restricted to Royal LePage only. But of course, I want my content to be shared more broadly and with the general public. So I'm going to allow external sharing. Oops. And now I can decide if I want this message to be entirely public, if I maybe just want to share with my circles, or just with people within Royal LePage. You see here, there's this little icon with the 4 diamonds. That indicates it's a collection. So I could share this post within my FirstTime home buyers collection. And again, I'm going to get into collections a little bit later. Or going down even further, you'll see all the different circles that I've created. So I could share this only with people within those circles. So if I perhaps had some tips about qualifying for a mortgage, I might want to share that only with my first-time home buyers. And then at the very bottom, it's an icon that looks like a circle with 3 dots inside. That indicates a community. So I'm part of the Royal LePage and Google Apps community. So if I came across perhaps a really interesting extension that I could use, or an interesting function to one of the Google apps, I might want to share it just within that community. So again, you're really able to target specific audiences with the messages that you send out. The other thing that you can do is when you see somebody else's post, I want to talk a little bit about interacting with them. So when you see a post that you like, you can click here, this +1 this post, and that's the equivalent of a like on Facebook. So just a way of indicating that you're a fan of this content. And depending on the settings that you have on your account, this post would then be saved within your +1s tab within your accounts, that people could go in and see what kind of content you've liked. There's the arrow button here for sharing this post. So it's, again, similar idea to a retweet on Twitter or sharing on Facebook. By clicking on the button on the side, I can actually share this post to a collection that I've created. And so collections are a way of organizing your content. So this message was especially pertinent to first-time home buyers. You might want to save it there. so that I could gather all that information into one place. And finally, there's the ability to enter in your own comments and then post that comment, so to create some discussion. So I keep talking about collections. Let's actually go in and talk about what collections actually are. And so when I go to the collections tab here on the right-hand side, you can first see the collections that I've created, and then collections that other people in my circles have created. So because I am following the Learning Services page, then I can see there are two collections. There's one for the Sales Success webinar series, as well as one for the Building Your Tech Toolkit series. And if I click on the Tech Toolkit, I can see where they've posted all of the past videos for all of the other Tech Toolkit sessions that have taken place. And if I want, I can go up here and turn notifications on, so that any time any new videos or content get posted to this collection, that I will automatically receive a notification to that effect. I've also created this first-time home buyers collection, and you'll notice that currently it's shared only with me. So this is just a folder that I've created where I'm compiling all relevant information that's just useful for first-time home buyers. So for example, I saw something about first-time home buyer and inspections and house viewing checklist. I found an article about which mortgage would be better, as well as one for tips for buyers in a low inventory market, things like that. So it's just a way for you to compile information. Mine is this specific one was private. So it's just a resource that I was gathering, but I could create a collection, let's say, regarding recreational properties in Muskoka. And rather than making it private, I can make this public, and I could put in all information that's relevant to someone who is considering buying or selling a cottage in the Muskokas. So it's a way of, it helps you compile your information, but it also, if someone comes across this and that's exactly what they're interested in, then it allows them to select content that's targeted to their needs. And so they'll be more likely to subscribe and to follow that collection. Going back up to the tab on the left-hand side, we'll move down to communities. This is where you can create groups for like-minded individuals, where you can share tips and tricks, perhaps build a referral network with other Royal LePage agents, and create contacts. We've got one for Google Apps, so that if you ever have any questions, or if you've got some ideas about best practices for Google Apps and for real estate, you can post them into this section. But you'll find a whole ton of different communities. You might be interested in looking to see if there's a community for your local area, and if not, potentially create one as a way of place for people to gather and share information as to what's going on locally. And again, that would just be a way for you to position yourself as the local expert. We're going down now to look at events. And on this page, I can see past events. So again, these are just some of the Learning Services webinars that I've viewed in the past. But I also have responded yes and RSVP'd to this agent open house that's coming up. So this is what somebody has done. They've created a Google Plus event for all of their open houses. You can go on there. Here's where I indicated yes. See all the information related to it. And you can see that they've invited a lot of the other local real estate companies and brokerages to come to their open house. And so if I go to their page, see, they've created a whole bunch of different, they've got a lot of different events for other open houses coming up. And if there was one that I was interested in going to, these ones are in the past. But I'd have the option yes, maybe, or no. And if I do select yes, then it would automatically add it into my Google Calendar. So if you want to create an event, either for an open house, or maybe you're doing a client appreciation event, or maybe you're doing it for your office's garage sale and or another shelter event, and you're hoping to connect with the community, you can create the event. It's pretty straightforward to do. Just come up with a name for it. So I'll call mine open house at 123 King Street. And, oh, okay. Sorry, I'm just getting word that it's stuck right now. So we're just going to see if we can troubleshoot this and deal with whatever's happening. So I'm just getting word now that I was cut off there for a moment. Apologies for that. Just one moment while I get my... Okay. So apologies about that. I was just in the process of talking about events. So the way that I got to this events page was from this menu in the top left-hand side. And in terms of my past events, it shows anything that I've gone to. So I've attended a bunch of the Learning Services webinars. And I've got an upcoming event here. So this is one that I signed up for. I saw this agent was doing an open house, and so I responded yes to it. And when I click on it, I can see a little bit more information about the event. And I can see what they've done here. They've actually sent invites to a lot of other local agents and some of the other local brokerages, just as a way of generating some interest in their open house. If you didn't want this information to be public, you are able to hide the guest list, but you could also have it displayed depending on what kind of event you were doing and perhaps who you were inviting. And as you can see, as the organizer, you'd be able to see who has RSVP'd yes. And you'd be able to track interest that way. If I go back to my events, I could create an event for an open house that I'm doing. Perhaps if I was doing a shelter event, a garage sale, or other fundraising event. Perhaps if I'm doing a client appreciation event, I might want to organize it and promote it via Google+. So I'm going to do one. I'm going to call it Open House at 123 King Street. And here there's some few basic options as to whether they can invite other people for this. I'm definitely want to say yes. It'd be great if people are sharing this. And can they add photos? For an open house, that's probably not relevant. So I'll turn that off. But perhaps if I was doing a garage sale event, it'd be great to potentially have other people share their photos from the event, as well as even other people from the office posting their photos. So I'll choose a date for it. I'll say the 21st at 2 in the afternoon. Put in an end time of 4. That's perfect. Put in a location. I'll skip that. Then I can decide who I'd like to invite to this event and change the theme. So what they mean by the theme is it's kind of like a cover photo or the banner image that comes across the top. So there are some in here that are a little bit generic that I could potentially use. Or I could upload, if I had an image of the listing for this open house, I could upload an image of the home itself. For this, the interim, I'll just put in this one. I'll choose who I want to share it with. Okay, I'm just going to share it. And here we go. So here's my event. I could go in, add a little bit more information to it, and I could invite additional people. Also, there's a message option, which would send out a message to everyone who's been invited, as well as everyone who has RSVP'd, to let them know, for example, if there were any changes to the event or any updates that were relevant. And here's where I can post messages as well as photos of the event to share with everybody. Last thing I'm going to talk about here is Hangouts, and I just want to mention briefly that this is one of the places where you could access your the Hangouts functionality. You can also access Hangouts via your Gmail account, and we're going to talk about Hangouts in one of our future Building Your Tech Toolkit sessions. There's kind of a lot to cover there, so don't want to overwhelm you today, but essentially the purpose of Hangouts is you can use it for instant messaging, you can use it for video calls with others and have up to 15 people on those calls. You could do a Hangout on air, which is like a broadcast, and you can even call a phone number. And it doesn't matter if they're using Hangouts or not. You could just call a regular phone number, and it's free anywhere in North America. So regardless of if they're long distance or not, you could use Hangouts to call them. The other section to Google Plus would be the pages, where you can set up the Google My Business. And sometimes you might have noticed, say for example, if you Google your office, there might be sometimes somebody's has pinned that location, and you'll see that it comes up in the Google map with that location. So the way that is done is here through this Google Plus Pages format, the Google My Business tool. Again, that's a much larger topic and a little bit too much for today, but something that we hope to cover in one of our future Building Your Tech Toolkit sessions. I'm also under the impression that during that period where I was cut off for a moment, that you missed when I spoke about communities. So I'm just want to touch on that briefly. But communities are where you can go to share information with like-minded individuals. So you'll notice that right now I'm part of the Royal LePage and Google Apps community. And if you're someone who's very involved with Google Apps and wants to talk about how you're using it in your business or look for advice from others, you're definitely encouraged to come in and post there. And even if you've got any questions about using Google Apps, you can always post to that group. Other ways that you could potentially use communities would be to create a referral network with other Royal LePagers across Canada. So if you perhaps meet a bunch of people at the sales conference or at the Head Start conference, you want to stay in touch, you could create a community and share your posts and messages that way. Third way would be for local information. So you could see if anybody has created a community for your region or your city. And if not, then that's potentially an opportunity for you to create a community where you could post about events and create some dialogue and engagement with other people in the area and really position yourself as somebody who knows that region well and knows what's happening uh, in the in that market, both from a real estate perspective, but also just in terms of a social perspective of what's happening. That brings me towards the end of my presentation. I'm just looking to see if there's any questions so far, and I'm not seeing any. I'm going to briefly talk a bit about some of our other upcoming webinars, but this is a perfect opportunity if you've got those questions to just use the Q&A app in the top right side of the screen. But for now, what I want to leave you with is royallepage.ca/training. And this is where you'll find information about all of our webinars, including our upcoming sales success webinar. So just next week, we're going to have Chris Leader back with us again. And this session is definitely one you don't want to miss. It's all about protecting your commission. And so Chris will be with us for an hour to share some best practices and some ideas and how to overcome objections from clients. You'll also be able to view past sales success and building your tech toolkit webinars from this page. And when we launch our new fall realtor marketing workshop coming up, those workshops will start right after Labor Day. This is where you can come to register for those sessions and see when we're coming to your area. So with that, I want to thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I really hope that you enjoyed this session on Google+. If you've got any questions for us, you can find our contact information here. That's royallepage.ca/training, both for learning services as well as for our customer care team down at the bottom of the page. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day.